One of the biggest struggles with consistency is that we typically don't see quick results. Now, I do believe with our beginner piano students and even with older students, consistent practice can actually produce pretty dramatic results. I have a little girl that I'm teaching, and she is one who's very busy with many activities. So the piano practice doesn't always happen. But let me tell you, when she does practice, even if it's only a couple of times during the week, I can tell a huge difference. Rather than coming to her lesson and essentially practicing during the lesson, I know you all know what I'm talking about. She comes in able to play her piece and we move on to the next thing. Yes, daily practice produces the most progress, but I will tell parents that even a little practice is better than no practice.
Hey there, I'm Rachel Ehring, and you're listening to the Top Music Piano Podcast. Get inspired as we discuss creative resources, trends in piano pedagogy, ways to grow your income and streamline your studio, and new ways to engage your students each week. If you are a teacher who wants to go beyond the method books to create an innovative studio that fosters lifelong music makers, you've come to the right place.
Hey there, piano teachers. I hope that you're doing well. Today, I want to talk with you about something that has been coming up a lot in my life lately, and certainly something that we want for our students, and that is consistency. Now, when I say this has been coming up a lot, it's not because I've been doing great at it. I will tell you that. In fact, if you are winning the consistency game, I would love to hear about it because it seems to be an ongoing struggle for me. As pianists, we all know the value of consistency. In fact, that's probably how most of us got to where we are today, is through some kind of consistent practice routine. Even the most brilliant pianists didn't just wake up one day knowing how to play the piano. So I realize I'm preaching to the choir when I talk about how important consistency is, but I want to share some of my thoughts about it, and maybe you'll be encouraged to think about it in a different way or tackle it in a new area of your life. One of the biggest struggles with consistency is that we typically don't see quick results. Now, I do believe with our beginner piano students and even with older students, consistent practice can actually produce pretty dramatic results. I have a little girl that I'm teaching, and she is one who's very busy with many activities. So the piano practice doesn't always happen. But let me tell you, when she does practice, even if it's only a couple of times during the week, I can tell a huge difference. Rather than coming to her lesson and essentially practicing during the lesson, I know you all know what I'm talking about. She comes in able to play her piece and we move on to the next thing. Yes, daily practice produces the most progress, but I will tell parents that even a little practice is better than no practice. So maybe that should be our first lesson in consistency, is to give ourselves grace and realize that even a little bit of whatever it is that we want to be consistent with is better than zero. Think about exercise. Taking a couple of 10-minute walks between lessons is certainly better than eating a donut in between, right? I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but if you're like me, you might need the occasional reminder. Back in May of this year, I decided to challenge myself to post an Instagram reel every day for 1 month. I really just wanted to see what would happen. Everyone always says you have to post consistently to grow on Instagram, so I decided to test it out. Now, I really wanted to post for 90 days because I felt like that would be a much better test than 30 days. But I knew that I would get burned out and probably not complete the challenge if I challenge myself to 90 days. So I made it something that felt like what I could manage at the time. I like to do these challenges for myself sometimes, where I look at what I think I can reasonably do without burning out or getting too overwhelmed, and then maybe push it just a little bit further and then see what I can accomplish. So here's the second lesson of consistency. If you're going to challenge yourself or commit to something, don't make the goal so unattainable that you're setting yourself up for failure. We wouldn't ask a beginning piano student to practice an hour a day for 7 days a week, right? So why are we making such unrealistic demands of ourselves? I don't know if you do this, but sometimes I get so excited about some big goal I have and overestimate my ability to reach it in a short amount of time. I'm sure I can say, learn this advanced piece of music by next week. Or I decide I'm going to start baking bread from scratch and making all of our meals from scratch, even though I have a full-time job and am exhausted when I get home. So we have to start small and be realistic. Okay, so back to my Instagram challenge. I committed to posting every day for a month. And then I told a couple of my piano teacher friends that I was going to do this. This is lesson number 3. Tell someone what your self-imposed challenge is. Even if they forget and don't ever check in to keep you accountable, the fact that you've said it out loud to someone will help keep you accountable. If I commit to something only in my head and it's only for me, it's so much easier to talk myself out of it. And this is true with our students too. If we ask them, how many times are you going to practice this week? And they have to say it out loud to us, that is a form of accountability for them. Of course, we're not going to guilt them if they don't make their goal, just like my friends weren't going to make me feel bad if I didn't post a reel every day. But saying it out loud to another person sets it in stone. So I told my friends I was going to post every day for 1 month. And then I looked at my calendar and thought, oh no, what have I done? How is this going to be possible? Because May is always a little crazy over here. I don't know why I chose May. It just is when it occurred to me. But May is the end of the school year. We have spring recitals. And when I looked at the calendar, I realized I just wasn't going to have much time to spend on creating these 30 Instagram reels that I had committed to. So I decided to make it as easy as I could to schedule them out ahead of time. I'm not sure how this part applies to piano since you can't really batch and schedule your practice time, obviously, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. So I sat down and I brainstormed 30 days of reels that I could create. And I think I used ChatGPT to help a little bit, but some of its ideas honestly weren't nearly as good as the ones from my own imagination. So I didn't depend too much on it, although you could totally use ChatGPT to get all 30 ideas if you wanted to. So I had my list of ideas. And then I went out and took a few videos. I happened to be at a gig down near the beach, so I went and took some beach videos for B-roll, which if you don't know what that is, it's just where you have a video of either yourself doing something like having your morning coffee or writing in your journal, or something like the beach that you add text over. I didn't use the beach videos for all of the reels. Obviously, that would have been kind of boring. But it gave me some options. And then I had other videos already on my phone of me playing the piano. And then throughout the month, I did some of me talking as well. They're called talking head videos. And then once I had a list of ideas and some videos, I started creating. And again, I kept them simple. These were not fancy reels. I know you can get real fancy with your reels, but that's not what this was about. They typically were one video with text, and then I would either choose music from the Instagram app, or some of them had original sound of me playing the piano. I would add a caption, which, by the way, my captions got shorter and shorter as the month progressed. And then I would add hashtags. And then this is the key. I would schedule the reels to be posted 1 per day. There was 1 week where I looked ahead at the calendar and it was packed every day for the next 2 weeks. So I scheduled those bad boy reels for the next 14 days. I knew that I had some time on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I figured if I could make and schedule 5 reels per day for those 3 days, I would be set for the next 2 weeks during my busy time. So I'm making all these reels and scheduling them. And then when they post, I usually shared them to my stories, which takes like 5 seconds. And then if people commented, I would try to respond as much as possible to help with engagement, because of course that's important for Instagram to show them to more people. The first couple of weeks, I honestly thought about quitting. Most of my reels were getting maybe a couple of 100 views, which in Instagram real world is nothing. But then I had one that got over 1,000. So I thought, okay, maybe it's working. I should keep going. Plus I committed to it and told my friends I was doing it. So I kept going. Again, a few 100 views for days in a row. And then another one with a couple of 1,000 views, which was exciting. Honestly, by about day 25, I really didn't see much growth in any way. I wasn't really getting new followers. I wasn't getting significantly more engagement. I was just posting these reels and life was going along just as if I weren't posting them. I thought about quitting around day 28 and calling it good enough. But again, I had committed to the whole month, so I threw together a few more reels. And then on day 30, something crazy happened. On day 30 of posting a reel every single day on Instagram, I had one pop off, as they say. It took off. It went viral. And no one was more surprised than me. This was when I was just on the verge of calling it a failed experiment. I was ready to declare that the gurus all are wrong and posting consistently does nothing to grow your Instagram account. But then this little reel started to get attention. Now, I have to tell you about this reel. It is nothing special by any stretch of the imagination. I was in a rehearsal and I thought, oh, this is kind of funny. Maybe I can make a reel out of it. So I filmed a quick 7-second video. I'm nowhere in the video. It's a video of some sheet music with some text over it. And you guys, it now has over 400,000 views, which is about 400 times more views than anything else I've ever posted. Every single day since May 30th, we're now in the middle of October, I've gotten notifications that say things like, you have 60 new likes on your reel. You have new comments on your reel. You have new likes on your comment on your reel. This has been going on every day for months now. I just looked at the analytics for this crazy reel, and on my 7-second reel, the watch time is 24 days. Like people have watched those 7 seconds for a total of 24 days. That's crazy. Like seriously, you guys, what the heck? But before we get all excited and before you go start posting Instagram reels, I have to tell you something. Just for full transparency, this reel has done virtually nothing for my business. It's gotten me a handful of followers, maybe, but very few compared to the 400,000 views. As far as I know, I haven't gotten any actual business like money or email subscribers or anything tangible from this reel. It didn't really have a call to action other than the caption asked a question, so people did comment, but it wasn't a call to action to download a free resource or follow me or anything like that. And honestly, maybe that's part of why it did so well. It was purely entertainment with no hidden agenda whatsoever. So my point in sharing this is to show you that consistency can 100% pay off. Maybe not always in the ways we want or expect. I mean, I would love it if one of my reels that's promoting my piano workshop would get 400,000 views, but that isn't as likely to happen anytime soon. But it was a great lesson that the impossible can actually happen with consistent action. So here's where we get practical. What consistent action do you need to take? Is there a small action that you could take every day for the next 30 days that you could then share with a friend before you start and see what happens by day 30? It might not even be related to piano. My Instagram challenge was only piano adjacent, I guess. Maybe you want to stretch every morning for the next 30 days. Maybe you want to have an hour of screen-free time before bed for the next 30 days. That's a great goal. Or maybe it's practicing piano yourself every day just for you. Whatever it is, think about it, make the commitment, tell a friend, or you can tell me if you want to. If you want to, you can go to my Instagram to see how silly that reel was, and then send me a DM with your 30-day commitment. And then see what happens. And whatever you do, don't give up on day 29. Because you never know what might happen on day 30. All right, friends, that's all I have for you today. But I hope you enjoyed this short little episode about my recent experiment. And I will be back next week with a fantastic guest for you. And I also will give you a little teaser that in the month of November, we're doing a business topic here at Top Music Piano Podcast. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you these ahead of time, but I just did. And I'm excited because if you geek out with things like 30 days of Instagram Reels, I think you'll find some great content in the November podcast. So I can't wait to meet you back here next week. I'm Rachel Ehring, and you are listening to the Top Music Piano Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
How do you keep up to date with all the latest trends and research into music education? How do you connect with other teachers around the world and make sure your teaching stays fresh and relevant for students of all ages and stages, both now and into the future? I created our Top Music Pro membership to be the one-stop shop for music teaching resources, training, support, and community, and I'd love for you to come and join us inside. With over 40 comprehensive training courses, hundreds of teaching demonstrations and lesson plans, free monthly sheet music, discounts, and all the business and pedagogy support you could ever need, Top Music Pro is the community you've been looking for. If you're ready to level up your learning from the podcast and join thousands of other teachers in our global network, head over to topmusicpro.com today.